Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com, and I got a good one for you today. First, before we get started, I want to thank you for watching the videos. I really appreciate it. I want to put my all in any video that I make. Sometimes it's tough because there's a lot of things that go on with different things that I'm doing, but I want to make sure that I communicate, and I really do appreciate your time. Uh, I make these videos to help you with credit, repair, and debt. Uh, Period, point blank. Any video that I make is going to have some type of effect on the way that you have to repair your credit and get out of debt. And today's specific video, the reason why I'm making it is because I have clients that are coming to us and they are running into issues believing people who claim that they can pay their debts with a 1099-A, that they can do this OID, original interest discount form. I think that's what it stands for. Um, that they got a secret bank account, this Strawman theory, all cap letters on my social security card means that that's a corporation, and they took me and put me into the system. It technically took me away from my parents. I apologize for that. So where I had stopped off at was some people claim that your social security number put in all caps made you technically a corporation. You're taken away from your parents uh, in name, and it's all caps, and they can make you have this secret bank account that they can draw money from. Now, if you've seen any of my videos that I have on this, you know that I do believe that we do have an ability when our name, when we're born and they get the social security number, I do believe that we like become like a credit to the United States, that they use us to be able to say, okay, if you got, let's just say 1 million people are born, and they say like the national debt for each individual when they're born, what I think it was like 50 or $60,000. So if you got 1 million people, in essence, you got $50 million in additional available credit that the United States could make. It's more than that, but I'm just throwing out a number. And let's just say that we have 5 million people or 10 million people that are born. It'll actually make that number go down because you're going to say, in return, the taxes that are going to be generated by a certain amount of people that are going to be working, that it'll actually pay down the debt. In essence, that's the way it's supposed to be. We know that they balloon up the national debt. So we got a lot of people that are coming to us. They running into trouble. They did these things 3, 4, 5 months, a year later. They're getting hit with lawsuits, and so I want to keep hitting on this because what ends up happening is they have these debts. They get sued to go to court. They have to respond. Some of them can't even afford to get attorneys, and they're just trying to figure out what they can do to get out of the situation. And depending on what the person does, it could either be where they're going to come after you civilly, or the IRS is going to come after you in a criminal. You're going to end up in criminal court. So now, here is one. When I was doing some research yesterday, here is one that popped up, and the way it popped up is I was looking at some YouTube videos, and there was one where it didn't show the person, it just had bank secrets of the banks. And when I heard the voice of the lady that was talking on it, I was like, I know that voice. I couldn't remember her name, but this was someone that uh, I I had some conversations with way back, I would say like 2008, 2010. She was very good internet marketer. Like she like would dive into how to generate income online. And so when I heard that voice, I was like, I just couldn't put a name to it. And I wouldn't mention a name here anyways. If I could mention a name, I would not mention her name. But what I would say is that she was very convincing about the banking system, about how they talk about, if you go to the bank and you put in $10,000, that they could break that up and get $10,000 times 10 to loan out to people, go to the Fed Reserve, all of that stuff, which that stuff is true. But she even went into saying that if you write a check to the bank, that they can actually go and get another amount of money from the Fed Reserve. And then she was saying if you made a payment to your car payment, they can go and get it. And then she was saying that if you don't claim your refund of the interest that you paid, so every 3 years, if you don't, they're going to file the 1099A, I believe, abandonment of property. I think that's what it is. Hold on, let's pull it up real quick. Okay, so right here, this here. So you got the 1099A, acquisition or abandonment of secured property. So she was claiming that if you don't file this within 3 years, that you won't, well, number one, she's claiming that if you don't file this in 3 years, that the bank is going to file this and they're going to say that your uh, any interest that you paid, you're not going to be able to get it back, or any interest that they accrued by using your signature for whatever you ended up doing, for loans, for bank account deposits, for checks that you wrote. She's claiming that they're going to go and be able to get, let's just use this example. I don't want to get people confused. She said, so you go and get a loan for $400,000, and then they are going to in turn be able to actually, when that money is deposited or you deposit, that they're actually able to get 10 times that amount, and they're going to make interest on that. So in essence, what everybody is claiming, what she was claiming, is that you've already paid for everything and they're double dipping, and you should be getting interest on that. And if you don't claim it within 3 years, they're going to file this form and they're going to say that you abandon your property, which is your interest. Let me tell you, it's a lie. I'm going to tell you flat out, that is not true. I don't care what any of them are saying. It has not been proven that that's true. And if you go to the IRS, what this document is for is just for paper trails for people who who have been in foreclosure, and there's any interest, or any interest that was not they're gonna, what it is they're gonna say you paid this amount of interest and this is what was not paid, and this is what's owed to us, and this is what we're gonna be writing off. All it is for paperwork. So that is not true, and I don't know why. But she sounded good. The way that she made it sound, she sounded good. Now, but she even mentioned this one here. This is where I was like, well, let me just go and my wife was baking cookies, and I was like, let me just do some more research on this stuff. And she there's a party that we have at one of our stores, and she has to make over 300 cookies, so she was busy. And so I was sitting there on the computer looking at this. So she mentioned this. Look at the affidavit of Walker F. Todd, expert witness for defense. And this is flying all over the internet. They're like, look at the affidavit. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, walk you through the high points. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to want to stay. You want to stay watching this video, because there's going to be something that happens at the end. Maybe I'm going to get proven wrong. Maybe I'm going to get proven right. So now let's look at this here. So it was Bank One NA, and obviously, just in case you don't know, Bank One actually was purchased by Chase Bank. So it's this person here, Dave, and it's got, what is it, Harsh uh, Vandam, whatever it is, and then Dave Primaton, uh, Pratima. Is that how you say the name? I don't know. But he was being sued, and so it says here. Now, this is an affidavit for the defense, and this is what this person here is. This is like his witness for the defense, and it says here, my qualification as expert witness in monetary and banking instruments are as follows. For 20 years, I worked as an attorney for legal office for the legal department of the Federal Reserve Banks of New York and Cleveland. Federal Reserve Banks. Pay attention to that for a second. And then it says here, and I'm only going to go off of what they had here. These are like their bullet points. It says here, uh, when a bank accepts bullion, coins, currency, checks, drafts, promissory notes, and any other similar instruments hereinafter instruments, the customer and deposits or records of instruments or as assets, it must record offset liabilities to match the assets that it accepts from customers. The liabilities represent the amounts that the bank owes the customer, funds accepted from customers. In a fractional reserve banking system, the United States like the United States banking system, most of the funds advanced to borrowers' assets are created by the banks themselves and are not merely transferred from one set of depositors to another, of course. And then down here we got, with the exceptions of customary stores of value like gold and silver, the monetary base of the economy largely consists of credits instruments. Against the background, I conclude that the notes, despite some language about lawful money explains below, clearly contemplates both disbursements of funds and eventually repayment or settlements in money of accounts. That is, money of exchange would be welcome, but is not required to repay or settle the note. And then down here it says lawful money was the form of money in exchange that the federal government or any state could be required by statute to receive the payment of taxes and other debt. Then we got here, in light of these facts, I conclude that the plaintiff and defendant exchange reciprocal credits involving money and accounts and not money of exchange, not lawful money was or probably ever would be dispersed by either side in the covered transaction. And it has a legal tender, a related concept, but that is economically inferior to lawful money because it allows payment an instrument that cannot be redeemed for gold or silver on demand, has been the form of money exchange commonly used by the United States since 1933. Right here, the reference official comments notes that the definition of money is not limited to legal tender under UCC. Money is defined. I'm going to read a little bit more on this. Money is defined in section 1-20124 as a medium of exchange authorized or adopted by a domestic or foreign government and includes a monetary unit of amount established by the intergovernmental organization by the agreement between two or more nations. Now, this is where a lot of people also, I have a lot of comments on this. They would like read the UCC code. And for some reason, some people are thinking that when they make a note or they make some type of instrument that they're a governmental company. Like they are, like they're not even thinking about what they're saying. They're saying that read this, and then they're saying, okay, so it could be created, and then they say, I'm not a citizen of the United States. I'm a sovereign citizen, and I can create my own money or create a negotiable instrument. but they're not even a governmental agency. The narrow view that money is limited to legal tender is rejected. This is what they're saying. Credit as money. And then it has here in this code here, you can go and read this up, read this here. We're not going to jump too much into it because it just gets people moving all over the place. The typical form of such extension of credit was drafted or bill of exchange drawn upon themselves claims on the credit of the drawees instead of the disbursement of bullion, coin, or any forms of money. In the transaction with third parties, drafts bills came to serve most of the ordinary functions of money. All right, so let's go down here. So it says, thus, credit money is not alien to the current official monetary system. It is just rarely used as a device for the creation of Federal Reserve credit that, in turn, in the form of either Federal Reserve notes or bank deposits at the Federal Reserve Banks, functions as money in the current system. Now, I'm going to stop right here just for a second. This is the part that I say that I do agree with, that to make a banking system go around, it's just like you're going to have a business. To make a business, you got to have customers. Those customers got to have money. You got to make the system, some type of system to make everything go round. And I believe that there we do have a access to money. Banks can create money. They're not technically creating money. The Federal Reserve creates money on us, on our name. I'll give you that. Banks access that using credit, using credit reports. Like they even put a little barrier in front, so if you got bad credit, you can't get access to it. But there's no barrier at the beginning because you're able to get access to it if you're starting out. So everyone has access to it. Banks loan it out. They make a percentage for loaning it out. They give the money to the person who provided the product or service, and you get the benefit of the product or service. You pay the money back. Federal Reserve gets replenished. Bank made money on that. Now with the fraction, yeah, maybe they are. I don't have much to say on that because they are able to get more money with the fractional system that we have in place. So now, it is not an unreasonable argument to state that the plaintiff apparently changed the economic substance of the transaction from the contemplated in the credit application form, agreement, notes, or other similar instrument that the defendant executed, thereby changing the cost or risk to the defendant, which creates least the inference of inequity of obligation. So moving down here, let's just read the red part right here. It says the commercial bank lending process is similar to that of a thrift in that the receipt of cash from deposits increase both in assets and its deposit liabilities, which enables it to make additional loans and investments. We don't disagree with that. When a commercial bank makes a business loan, it accepts an asset, the borrower's debt obligation, the promise to pay, and creates liability on the books in form of demand deposits in the amount of the loan. This will show that the bank receives the customer's signed promise to repay as an asset, thus monetizing the customer's signature and creating on its books a liability in the form of a demand deposit or demand liability of the bank. So there we go. There's your where a lot of people are lynching their with the signature to create money. Okay, so now let's go down here. In accordance with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, money is anything that has any value that banks and people accept as money. Money does not have to be issued by the government. So this is the part right here where people are saying that they can create their own money, a note or whatever. The Bookkeeping entries tend to prove that banks accept cash, checks, drafts, promissory notes, credit agreements, assets as money deposited and created on credit, create credit or checkbook money that are bank liabilities, which show that absent any right of set off, banks owe money to the person who deposits the money. Cash money of the exchange is money, and credit or promissory note money of accounts become money when banks deposit promissory notes with the intent of treating them as like a deposit of cash. They had their code here. The newly issued credit or money is simply equivalent to a promissory note, which may be treated as deposit of money. Explains when banks grant loans, they can create new money. And I guess they're saying they're going to the Federal Reserve to create new money. It says here, modern money mechanics, and it says page 6, what they banks do when they make loans is accepted to promissory notes in exchange for credits to the borrower's transaction account. The next sentence on the same page explains that banks' assets and liabilities by the amount of the loans. And number 15, the plaintiff, in fact, never lent any of its own pre-existing money, credits, or assets as consideration to purchase the note or credit agreements from the defendant. That's what they're claiming. So here, let's read this part here. When the plaintiff deposit the defendant's $400,000 of newly issued credits in the account the plaintiff created from $360,000 to $400,000 of new money. The normal principal amount less the 10% $40,000 of reserves that the Federal Reserve will require against the demand deposit of the size. The plaintiff received $400,000 of credits or money from the account from the defendants as an asset, GAAP, GAAP, ordinarily would require the plaintiff record a liability account creating the defendant's deposit account, showing that the plaintiff owes $400,000 of money to the defendant, just as the defendant were to deposit cash or a payroll check into their account. So what they're in essence saying that the Federal Reserve, when they went and got the loan, $400,000, they only had to put $360,000. So basically, I mean, I know I'm getting my tongue tied in this because it's a lot that people say. Basically, what they're saying is that for the bank to be able to go to the Federal Reserve to get the amount of money, that they're only going to have 10%. When they get the money, they're going to have 10% on assets, and they can get 10 times that amount of money. That's the way they kind of said it kind of different on here. But and this is what everybody is claiming is that, and that's why they're saying like it's already paid, because they go there, they borrow the money under your name, they get the amount of money. They never did have to come up with the money. It's fractional, and they get the money, and then they're able to get 10 times the money. And in essence, they're loaning out money to other people, making money on your signature. And that you were supposed to, if you don't claim it in the 1099A, you abandon the property and they actually get to keep the interest. On the other side of that, too, is they're claiming that, well, this is the part that they keep not getting into, that it seems to be flying over people's head. It's like they're claiming that the banks are getting paid twice. And they're not getting paid twice. Let me show you why they're not getting paid twice. Because if you get a $400,000 house, you get a loan for $400,000, and you're doing it for a house, somebody is going to get the $400,000. The bank is not keeping the $400,000. The bank is giving that to the family that you bought the house from. So that money is going to someone else, and then they're taking that money. It's not like the bank is keeping the $400,000 and giving you the house, and then making you pay them the $400,000 back. And even if it's fraction, say that they got the money from someone else that they did the loan with, and then you're part of that fraction of the 10% that they're able to go and get more money from the Fed Reserve. It's still, they have to get that money, and they have to go and put that money into the system by making loans. They don't just get to keep the credits. They have to go get the credits and then put that money into action. So it's not the way that they're claiming that to be. Now, let's go down here. The plaintiff is trying to use credit applications form or the note to persuade and deceive the defendant into believing that the opposite occurred and that the defendants were the borrowers and not the lender. In conclusion, lawful money language is the repayment clause. Note is confusing at best and in fact may be misleading in the context described. Now, so this was the supposed affidavit to that lawsuit. But guess what, everybody? This affidavit is 100% fake. It's 100% false. It was never signed. It was never recorded. It was never filed. This individual never spoke at this trial. It's 100% fake. And I'm going to prove it to you with some comments from other people that had went out and did their own research. I did my research. It's 100% fake. So one of the bases, if you have people saying, look at the Walker Todd affidavit, I'm here to tell you that this was never filed in a case. All right, so now here is a website. I think I can move myself here. Here's a website. Now, I had ran across this one on accident, and it had all of these different things for the supposed motions that he had made. But when you click on these, it actually goes to a website that is for sale. And what it was is they had put all of this in order so they could get people's money. So what they did is they first had the false affidavit flying around out there. That's how they kind of build the initial interest that you can do what they're saying. They never did have the end result though. So what they did is, and this is the way that they do these scams, they gotta get everybody on board now by showing you and talking to you and making all these assumptions, and these are the rules, these are other court cases, and most people won't read the entire case, and most people won't look at the outcome. They'll just look at the initial complaint. They won't double check that witnesses were actually in really were testifying, all of that stuff. And the reason why is because that's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, I don't even want to sit there and see if someone was really testifying, and really what caught my attention was that there was no signature on the affidavit. Like if you just go down here, this is a supposed affidavit, and look at this. It's not even signed by the individual who claimed he did it. And then when other people here on this forum that talked about it, it said that this individual worked with a company that was independent contractor for the IRS, and that he didn't even have any knowledge at all about what was going on with this. It was zero. And then also in here, there was some other people, if I can find it here, was that an individual said, well, hey, if this guy knows this stuff and I did this 1099A and I'm in trouble right now, Could you come and testify for me? And the guy disappeared. The individual, because what I'm saying, thinking is that this person never even really existed. That this person really never even existed. And this was the website for that. So, what I wanted to do for you, because I know some people might be disappointed, but I want to kind of pull you up and tell you about some things I'm going to be doing in the future to kind of help you with your financial situations. I'm going to start showing you some things that can help you change your financial future. But before we, and that's going to be in future videos, but I want to kind of go over some things to let you know that what you've experienced with this 1099-A can pay your bills in this OID form in the all caps for your social security number and the straw man, all of that stuff. I want you to just pack it into your mental file folder because I'm about to take you on a ride that uh, so you can see how this stuff, if you just let time go, that you'll see that this stuff just comes around and it's all fake and all these things. So what made me think about that is I'd listened to a radio show. It's Coast to Coast. It used to be with Art Bell. Some of you might be familiar with him. And he had talked about all these conspiracies and aliens and Area 51 and all of this stuff. And but he passed about 3 or 4 years ago. But what they did is I have the app where pay each month for the app, and they put the old shows on there. And what I started noticing it was that some of these shows from the 1990s that I was listening to, and in the 2000s before he had left the show, was that none of this stuff was true. Like none of this, like I was like where some of you might be at, where it's like just falling for this mess. And so what I want to do is I want to show you one that it really had got a lot of attention back then. It was this Mel's Hole, and he used to have this guy come on, and he said that he had a hole on his farm that was like it was endless, like they thrown a rope down there that was like miles long, and it never hit the bottom. And it was like this big story they were just building up. And then another thing that they had was they had said that they put a microphone down there, and there was this strange noises, so they thought that it went to down there in the middle of the earth where hell was supposed to be. Well, it was a fake. It wasn't true. Uh, it never proven to be true. The person, what they did is they just made this up so they can get visitors to their website, and then they monetize their website. And then again, there was with the Area 51. Not to say that there's not a lot of crazy stuff going on in Area 51, but there was an individual that called Art Bell's show, and he claimed that he was flying around in an airplane over Area 51. We all know that if you do that, you're going to get shot down. And he wasn't really doing it, but Art played the game with him, and we all thought that, man, this guy is flying around. He's trying to get us this information. And then he came back on the show later, and it was just to get traffic to the website. Here's another one here back in 2013, but this has been happening for a long time. They've been saying it. They said that when the dollar was going to crash and they took it off of the gold standard and it was just going to be like the greatest depression. But the US dollar is actually up 99%. 99%. This was back in 2013. It's up 99% against gold since the Great Depression. So all of these people that claim that gold is going to beat the dollar, uh, you're wrong. It's not going to beat the dollar. And as a matter of fact, if you go and buy an ounce of gold right now, and let's just look at their example that they have here for $20. Let's just say you went and bought an ounce of gold. Well, you could have bought an ounce of gold in 1933 for $20, and you went to go to sell that gold. You would not get $20 for that. You're going to get a minimum. They're going to mark it down 10%, but in today's economy, they're going to mark it down about 20 to 30%. They're not going to give you the full amount for your goal. Let's go on these here. You know, the world was supposed to end several times, but I just looked up 10 of them. This one here was 2012. It was supposed to end with the Mayan apocalyptic. The world was going to end in 2012. Then you got uh, the comet that was coming at us. This was 1992. It was supposed to end. We were supposed to be dead. The world was supposed to end in 1994. This one here said in 1988, we were supposed to, the world was supposed to end. Then you had Haley's Comet. You got 1980. Well, this was 1986, but there was another one that said that it was, it was said it was approaching since 2000. I mean, since 1910. And then you have this one here, 1843. It's supposed to be the second coming. That didn't happen. We got another one here, 1813. Nothing happened. We got 1806, and that was, let's see here, in 1806. And then you got 1666, which the Bible calls 666, mark of the beast. Nothing happened. Got the Great Flood, 1524. Didn't end. We got the, what was this one here? 1524. Yeah, 1524. And we got this one here. What is the year on this one? And I'll put the links to all of these, or you can just look them up. Look them up. So you can see that nothing ended up happening with none of those. So to sum it all up, this was a fake affidavit. This whole thing was false, setting up people. There's some YouTube channels that have been started, getting, they're showing people how to fill out these forms. I can tell you from recent cases, even if you fill out, show people do it yourself, informational, fill out the forms, they're going to say that you instructed them, and they're going to come after you and that individual when they tell them that they got the information from you on how to do it. All right, going to end the video here. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. If you have debt collectors coming after you, you can stop them with my 3 letters, the statute of limitations letter for debt that is past the time barred debt or past legal statute of limitations to collect are both the same. You do not have to do a debt validation when a debt is past legal statute of limitations to collect. And the debt validation letter and the cease and desist collection activities letter. Send the cease and desist collection activities letter first. If you have a debt collector that is coming after you that purchased the debt and is not past the legal statute of limitations to collect. Thank you for your time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you post your comments and questions. And subscribe to the channel. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder, CreditRepairShop.com. Thank you.